Well, hello everyone. How are we enjoying the longer days? I know that my serotonin-deprived brain couldn't be happier to once again lay out in a warm ray of light and watch the colors blend into a magnificent sunset that's otherworldly. It's like all my problems seem to scurry away from me when that bullshit daylight savings time takes a backseat to the spring. Fun fact, we're not in World War I anymore. We don't need to conserve energy. We're burning Teslas, because this is World War III. Anyway, a new cycle begins, and the chance to reshape our consciousness is here. Today we're going to talk about trauma, what it is, how it reshapes us, and how we can look at those lessons from the past and learn from them rather than hold on to the weight of that pain. There is no longer a need to ruminate over the situations that you have already overcome. There is no need to worry about the future. There is only the present. These emotions that we emit no longer serve us. And it's my hope that you're ready to embrace who you are and let go with me. I want to be the Mr. Rogers of trauma, making healing fun, aka Trauma Rogers. So if you're ready to absorb today's lesson, get comfortable, because this is episode 4 of Trauma Bonding. What is trauma? According to a diligent Google search, trauma refers to a deeply distressing or overwhelming experience that can have lasting negative effects on a person's mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Oftentimes, we form patterns rooted in our trauma and continue to reenact these events in our day-to-day. Though it may be subconscious, our brains tend to stay stuck on the familiar emotions derived from the traumatic event, making our current reality reflect a situation similar to the one rooted in the trauma as it takes on a different physical form. How does the brain process trauma? When the brain experiences trauma, we enter survival mode, like we did 300,000 years ago. Make me a Cro-Magnon, won't you? The primordial brain, or lizard brain, is what we relied on for survival, and that causes the release of stress hormones and activating the fight or flight response. The brain creates new connections between nerves and stores memories of trauma, making it harder to break reoccurring patterns. Let's look at the common changes that occur in the brain when the reptilian response is working in overdrive. Brain chemistry. The brain's chemistry is altered, which can lead to hyperarousal, fear, irritability, and anger. Brain hemispheres. The right hemisphere of the brain is activated while the left is deactivated. Brain regions. The brainstem and the amygdala are activated while the prefrontal cortex may function less effectively. Memory. Trauma memories are stored as fragments of sights, smells, sounds, tastes, and touch. I also wanted to map out common trauma responses. And if you are someone who is dealing with trauma, you will probably identify with more than a few of these. I know for myself personally that I do. Fight or flight. The body prepares to fight, flee, or freeze. And damn, son, I fucking love throwing hands. I'm ready for that fight mode. Fuck with me, bitch. Fuck with me. Disassociation. This is when the brain blocks memories to protect itself. Another thing that I famously do, because nobody can disassociate a person out of fear or dislike in the present tense while you're around them like this queen can. I don't care if I either have a big ol' fucking crush on you or I don't like you at all. I know how to visually remove people completely away from the situation, whether they're watching me or not. I know how to play pretend that they don't exist. Freezing. This is one of the most common reactions to trauma. And this is, in my interpretation, when you're afraid. You're so scared that you're frozen in time. There is no response. You almost tread between disassociation and flight mode, but somebody hit pause. Survival reflexes like tonic immobility or collapsed immobility. For me, I would consider this when I become depressed. I collapse. I don't leave my house. I don't leave the bed. So I believe, hopefully I'm correct on this, that I am more of a collapsed immobility type of person. As a clinical depressive who, I don't believe in SSRIs. I've taken them as a teenager. They never worked for me. I've always looked at depression very much the way Jim Carrey looks at it, which I am decompressing. I'm evaluating. I need that time. How does trauma affect the body? Aside from the numerous mental health issues that can develop as a result of unaddressed trauma, these life-altering situations that cause us much anguish become stored in the body. Now, I've put a list together of some of the health issues that can happen when we're not ready to address our trauma, which can lead to weight loss, weight gain, chronic illness, joint pain, cancer, immune system dysfunction, gastrointestinal issues, migraines, high blood pressure, diabetes, and immune disorders. With faster biological aging comes an increased risk of disease, possibly even a shortened lifespan. Dr. Katie A. McLaughlin, an associate professor at Harvard University, was noted for saying, "Exposure to adversity in childhood is a powerful predicator of health outcomes later in life," which to anyone who is in tune with themselves, their body, and their emotional state shouldn't be a shocker to you. Another thing that I wanted to add into this chapter is something that I wrote. This is something that I believe and many other New Age practitioners believe. Exactly where one experiences pain can be an indicator of what type of trauma they haven't fully overcome. I know for a lot of people who've gone through SA, pain is stored in the hips, making it uncomfortable to walk or run. Some people, after a traumatic breakup, have abdominal and digestive issues because on a subconscious level, the body remembers stomaching the feeling of unhappiness. What are the 3 clinical types of trauma? Acute trauma. Like, ooh, look at me. Just a little dabble of disaster, Acute. Acute trauma stems from a single event such as a violent attack, an accident, or the death of a loved one. That's like what my mom did. It was really cute when she died a week before my birthday and 2 weeks before hers. Chronic trauma. Oy, if only I could smoke it. Chronic trauma is generated by a string of traumatic incidents that are repeated over time. This could be a situation like growing up in an abusive household, suffering ongoing bullying, or enduring repeated physical assaults. The difference between acute trauma and chronic trauma is the chronic trauma is repetitive. Check! And last but not least, we have complex trauma. I don't even have to look at the screen to know that I can put a check mark right next to it. Complex trauma stems from multiple, varied, distressing events endured over time or even a lifetime. These events usually result from negative experiences within interpersonal relationships that aren't necessarily related. People who experience complex trauma may have trouble regulating their emotions and may experience shame, guilt, and even disassociation. Told you, check. Survivors of childhood abuse often experience complex trauma linked to betrayal by a caregiver who directly or indirectly caused harm. Complex trauma can also extend to a refugee who suffers hardship, dislocation, and violence over an extended period. It can even include periods of extended stress, like burnout from a harmful work environment. Who doesn't have a harmful work environment? I do beg to ask the question, if the work environment isn't somewhat of a hellscape, are you really working in today's society? How does trauma affect my relationships? God bless the TJ Maxx that has blueberry coffee in it. Okay, trauma, in my opinion, is the main cause of dysfunction within relationships. You know, it's hard to love or trust when the people closest to you single-handedly cause the most insufferable amount of pain that you could have ever experienced. This doesn't just make it hard when you're trying to make an authentic love connection, when you're trying to form a relationship with another person, but it makes it hard with your friends and family too. There's an expectation of betrayal or danger involved with getting to know someone. It's difficult to connect or communicate my feelings because instinctively, I will always think to myself, why should I trust you? That is a trauma response. That past relationship pattern for me is that I trained myself to give them the fantasy, but I won't give you me. I usually run away from my romantic connections. That way, they don't ever really get to know the true me, the value of being my lover. They'll never get to experience that because I'm so afraid that they're going to abandon me. That's why it's easier for me to run away. It wasn't a fart, that was my elbow if you heard that. And if that's something that you can identify with, know that you're not alone. Go, go, Trauma Rogers! Yeah. There are 10 common patterns that stem from trauma. Now that's common, not uncommon. So if you're out there and you're a serial killer, or maybe you're like a type of deviant that's waxing nostalgically with a stick in your hand, figure it out. Or maybe you're like a big ditty diddler. I can't help you. But if you happen to fall under any of these categories, then I've got a list for you, boo-boo. We can even make a game out of it. Put a check mark, and at the end we can tally. And between you or I, we can figure out who's more fucked up. So open up your notes, write 1 through 10, and put a check on whether or not you have any of these patterns. Conditioned to chaos, check. If a person has experienced unpredictable, unreliable, or chaotic environments as normal, they may become dismissive or distrusting of a friendship or a relationship that is calm or without extreme highs or lows. Some may struggle with peaceful moments and be waiting for the other shoe to drop. Many times a person who has been conditioned to chaos will create problems by testing their partner's investment or by smearing their friend to others as a way of triggering a response. If the person takes chase, it can in turn reinforce more problems within the relationship, creating a clinic pattern that can be difficult to break. Dichotomous thinking. All or nothing thinking can be linked to adverse experiences in childhood, including traumatic events that may have played a role in developing these kinds of cognitive distortions. Categorizing people or situations in absolutes can begin as self-protective as part of learned conditioning. For example, a person may have accepted beliefs taught to them about themselves or the people in their life as factual, where these beliefs may become internalized and reinforced. These same beliefs can be triggered in a friendship or romantic relationship, especially during a conflict. In time, these distorted views can affect self-worth, self-esteem, and the quality of your relationships. Check! Relational sabotage. This pattern is especially common if a relationship is healthy or shows promise, as vulnerabilities can tap into feelings of unworthiness, fears of rejection, or engulfment. Many have histories of sabotaging friendships or romantic relationships, struggle with a cruel inner critic that convinces them they are going to be left behind, that the other person is going to abandon them, or that the person does not care about them. In more extreme situations, they can subconsciously attract toxic friends or partners to them that creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. More common is that they often discard one relationship for the kind of relationship that validates their beliefs that they are undeserving of better. Can I get a check next to that one? I like the bell. We're going to use the Buddhist bell as we continue. Constantly on the go. This is common with flight trauma responses. A person may feel as though they constantly need to do more in order to outrun their childhood pain. Or some may find themselves in a pattern of overachieving, overcommitting, workaholism, or perfectionism as ways of trying to emotionally numb unprocessed trauma. At the root of the behavioral pattern are unmet needs to feel good enough and accepted for who they are, which can create barriers in their relationships where constraint busyness may not leave time for friendships, intimacy, or connection. Give me another one. Inner critic. God, y'all are going to go deaf by the time we get to number 10. Trauma experiences may have left their indelible mark in the form of an inner critic, which may act up in times of feeling vulnerable, lonely, or disempowered, aka AVZ, the shadow, who absolutely hates that I just did that. The goal of the inner critic is to make a person buy into its misbeliefs, some of which may surround deep feelings of shame or unworthiness towards love. In time, if a person begins buying into their inner critic's messages, it can take a negative toll on their relationship. Boundaries. If a person grew up in an environment that did not offer stable or consistent boundaries, they are at an increased risk of becoming an adult with shaky or non-existent boundaries. Some may feel guilty for setting a boundary for themselves out of fear of being shamed or abandoned. Others may find themselves in friendship or romantic relationships with a narcissist who limits their ability to establish and maintain firm boundaries, or who violates boundaries they try to set for themselves. I don't have to ring the bell, guys. That I definitely stand by, that I am able to set boundaries because I don't want to be around anybody most of the time. I don't. I love people, but I'm very introverted at this stage in my life. I've been through a lot. I acknowledge that. I enjoy my peace of mind. I enjoy solace, and I'm very selective with the people whose energies I intertwine with. Feeling behind others of a similar age. Experiencing early or chronic trauma in a person's formative years can make them fall behind developmentally or emotionally from their peers. Because trauma can overwhelm a person's emotions, physical body, and psychological and mental development, they may get stuck at the age at which the trauma occurred. They may act or dress younger than their age and may revert to age-regressive behaviors such as tantrums, emotional immaturity, excessive anxiety, and inability to be soothed, or dissociative behaviors, all of which may negatively impact their relationships. Let's see. If I'm honest with myself, do I do that? The anxiety apart, yes. I don't know. I don't think you can have the belief system that I have and be emotionally or developmentally behind. So I'm going to say no on that one. Shit. Let me ring it right now. Here we go. Got that one. Trauma can affect a person's ability to feel safe or secure in their relationships, which may leave a person feeling scared or anxious. Mistrust is formed early in a person's infancy if they cannot consistently rely on their caregiver to meet their basic needs for love, safety, security, food, or shelter. Mistrust in infancy can generalize to over distrust of others in their adult relationships because of early conditioning. If you watched the first episode, which I will never look at again, it is easy to say that my mistrust of men comes from my dear old daddy. Number nine. I mean, can you hear a Beatles song in your head and get a copyright strike? I'm asking for myself. Number 9, fear of abandonment. Having experienced actual or perceived abandonment can predispose a person to misbeliefs that they will again experience abandonment. These fears may generalize to a need for control, possessiveness, intense jealousy, or an inability to self-soothe if those in their life want to spend time with others or they need time alone. Yeah. I'm a crazy bitch. 10, pushing away. The bell of truth. A pattern of pushing away is often learned in childhood. Those who did not receive unconditional positive regard, who were shamed or harshly disciplined for being valued, may become more avoidant in their relationships. These types of early experiences may condition a person to feel that they can only count on themselves or that relationships require too much effort. Hence, if their relationship reaches an impasse or emotional vulnerability is on the line, they may find themselves shutting down or pushing away and preferring time to themselves. I don't know about you, but I've got 8 out of 10. I've got 8 out of 10. If you happen to have more than me or less than me in these traumas that we are identifying, these patterns, these reoccurrences in our lives and where they stem from, are you ready for a prize? Because boy, oh boy, do I have a prize for you. Here we go. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? All right. This is a round of applause. This is the only applause that you're going to get today. I want you to know that you are right. You win. You are all-knowing and all-powerful. You can take control in your life in the situations that arise. I'm not going to say that you're better than me, but you do deserve this round of applause. How do I heal from trauma? Now, all joking aside, I guess you could say that humor is a defense mechanism for myself and maybe even for you. But on a serious note, I think the ultimate healing occurred when I learned to accept that I could not change my past. I could not control the future. But I didn't have to continue down a path of just pure chaos and repeat these patterns that I learned over the course of my childhood or my tenure in the entertainment industry, or continuing to entertain patterns that I learned being a drunk. And I had to accept that part of myself. It was embarrassing. I would go through old videos where I was taking God knows how many shots at a bar, or videos that I took with my friends that I thought were just so funny. And all I could think to myself is, God, what a dumbass you are. How could you think poisoning yourself was the answer? And then I realized even that was wrong. Why would I label myself a dumbass? That version of myself didn't know any better. That version of myself was trying to survive. You know, some people like myself were conditioned to believe that nothing good could ever happen to you. I know what that's like. But life is about joy. Life is about experiencing love in all of its different forms. And when we don't acknowledge or look at our trauma, we allow ourselves to be held back. It's hard to take a deep look at yourself and say, you know, I don't like that I did that, but I accept it because I can't change it. But maybe in my acceptance of this, I can transmute all of this wasted energy, feeling ashamed of myself, and just convert it into something that's neutral. Why am I allowing this to affect me? What happened in my past that has brought me back to this similar emotion, this memory, this feeling? Why is this stored within me right now? And does this feeling label the feeling of insecurity, of anger, jealousy, fear, sadness? Does this feeling serve me in my present moment? Am I catastrophizing the future? Something that hasn't even occurred yet. What from my past has me so hooked into my future that I can't enjoy my present? Eventually, you'll start to solve that puzzle and put it together. You'll have that aha moment. You'll have a bell go off in your head. And when that bell goes off for me, I say, thank you, Alexandra, for figuring that out. Thank you, Alexandra. I love you. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And I am not my past. I am not my trauma. And nor are you. I believe that my place in society is to help people. And I have a few ways of my own that I have put together that you can either take or leave. But these are the things that I believe, if you are on this journey like myself can be great tools in your toolbox. The first one is eating right and hydration. Yes, I know, not what you want to hear. I know you want to just a Coca-Cola bottle right now. I get it. However, if we're going to detoxify patterns and habitual habits that don't serve us anymore, our body requires the correct nutritional value that we have excluded from our diet as everyday Americans. We have to make a conscious effort to balance our diets, because when we deprive our body of the vitamins and nutrients that it needs, then our thoughts, our actions, it's all affected. Every little bit of it. This is a well-balanced machine. The body, the mind, your emotions, spirituality. It's all tied together. It's within our energetic field. In order for us to move and let go of these traumas, we have to prepare the body. We are preparing to step into the most beautiful version of ourselves unapologetically. There's no room for fear. Even though I experience fear every now and then, because I'm so in tune with my body, because I eat the things that motivate it to work properly for me, it's easier for me to understand when I'm becoming activated. Another key factor in this, hydration, very important. It might not be pleasant, but drinking water, you can always switch to a carbonated water, which, if you did not know, will hydrate the body quicker than actual water will. We can start slow. It's the little achievements, right? Drink a La Croix and then move to alkaline water. Meditation, the essence of being present here in the now. It's so important that we hit pause from time to time and return to a state of nothing. What I mean by returning back to a state of nothing is that you are present only. You are not your thoughts. You are not past experiences. You just exist. Now, for me, I like to return to the nothingness. When I'm there, I see these geometric shapes and mandalas, all these different beautiful little photons and atoms. That's all that's there. And I know that if you don't practice meditation, this is a troubling concept, because you're thinking to yourself, am I doing it right? Am I doing this incorrectly? How am I to achieve this mindfulness, this stillness that has evaded me for so many years? There is no right or wrong way. All you have to do, whether it's to begin with 5 minutes, fuck that. Give yourself 1 minute. 1 minute to syncopate your rhythm with your breathing. I like to do the 5 count, where I inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. That way I can get back into my center. And I do this a few separate times until I feel the need to close my eyes. Once I've gotten my breath figured out, only then do I close my eyes. And every now and then, thoughts will come to me. You know, I'm not a monk, okay? Far from it. But I do know that over time, I went from 1 minute to 5 minutes to 15 minutes to 30 minutes. And also, I feel that it's important that I include this, because A lot of self-help people on the internet, whether they mean no harm or they're just trying to like grab a buck from you, they will tell you to meditate the very first thing in the morning. Well, I'm not a morning person. In fact, when we had the big devastating tornado that ripped through my side of town, I had a girlfriend call me 20 times. 20 times she tried to call me. She told me that I did answer the phone, and when I answered, I said, I don't care, and I went back to sleeping. I have an ex-boyfriend who was terrified of waking me up because I would growl at him. I like to do it about an hour after I've awakened from my slumber. I've had my coffee. And once I feel settled, I'll start the breathing. And I will drop out. And it's so soothing. It sets the tone for the rest of my day. And the more you do it, I think the more you're going to like it. Maybe you do it once a day, or maybe you do it 3 times a day. It doesn't matter. What matters is hitting pause on all of your thoughts. And if your thoughts make their way into your safe space, observe them, do not have an emotional attachment to them, and let them drift by. You are not your thoughts, but thoughts do manifest themselves outwardly. The reason that they do is based on the emotional attachment you have towards the thought. So when you allow it to just make its appearance, not react, and just let it drift away, then you're on the road to achieving presence of mind. Martial arts. I'm going to be completely real with you. I wanted to lead with this one, but I held back because it's my favorite thing in the whole world. Never did I realize that violence could be beautiful. My gym is a sanctuary. It is the happiest place on earth. I rearrange my entire day to fit my Muay Thai practice into my schedule. Only once I have done my practice will I even start working. It's also something that found me at an early age, watching Dragon Ball Z, and I would daydream about being able to throw a roundhouse kick, that I could go Super Saiyan. And now I am a Super Saiyan. You don't want to get kicked by me. But the importance of martial arts, especially with people that have trauma, is to build a relationship with yourself and challenge that part of you that's been suppressed. My shadow, oh my God, that's her domain. I know when I walk into my gym that I'm going to challenge myself, that I'm going to learn something that has thousands of years of knowledge backed. I'm a warrior. I'm not afraid. I face my fears. Every day that I walk in, I don't judge myself if I don't know how to throw a punch correctly, or that I'm not understanding the combination. I do it. I do it because I know that I can. I'm also in an environment where there are other people who show up to work on themselves as well. I'm in a place where people have come from significant strife and struggle. And together it's a community. We build each other up. The foundation of trust that you can build with your partner is beautiful, and it proves that you can build relationships with anybody. You're being given an opportunity to learn about yourself, to defend yourself, and find honor in who you are. You can take your frustrations out on your partner in a respectful way or on a heavy bag. A benefit? I'm not afraid of walking to my car late at night. I'm not afraid of walking down a dark alley. You want to play with me? Well, guess what? 12 to 6 is legal again, bitch. Thank you, John Jones. And also, the body be bangin'. Thank you to all my coaches for your contribution to my overall physical confidence. Find a creative hobby. Creativity can be fostered in a multitude of ways, whether that's through touch, sound, taste. Feed your senses. Don't ignore the call of something that has always interested you, whether that's pottery or painting, singing, whichever form of creativity inspires you. It's time to play with that. You could be holding such an incredible talent from the world that you don't want to express out of fear. Why? This is the whole point of the journey, is to be who you were meant to be. That creative hobby could become something more lucrative for you in the future. And you'll never know if you're afraid to try something new. The benefits of finding a creative hobby will lead you to flow state. The importance of flow state is that we're not bogged down by our thinking. We are in the act of the here and the now. We're present doing something we fully enjoy. I encourage you, buy that canvas, buy that paint, go take that dance class, and just be here. If you thought about it enough to where it's impressed on your soul, it's time to do it. It's good for you. It's a part of who you are. Speak to a therapist, one you like. One of the most unutilized tools in our toolbox is therapy. Why? Because there's feelings of shame that's associated with speaking to a mental health professional. But if we have the ability to better ourselves, why wouldn't we want to become interested in knowing more about ourselves? You know, the study of psychology, it's fascinating. I remember the day that I looked for my therapist. A traumatic situation occurred with my dad, and instead of falling into familiar patterns, I knew that I had a choice. I could find a therapist, or I could let this dictate my life. And I was looking down the registry of all these different places, and a name appeared. Her name is Harmony. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I have none of that. I picked my therapist based on her name because harmony was lacking in my life. And it changed my world. I had an instant connection with my therapist, something that is rare. Most people will see a few different therapists, which I do encourage. But you'll know when you've found the person who gets you. You'll know because you'll do the work that they give you. If it was not for the therapist that I found, I don't think I'd be speaking to you right now. I don't think that I would have it within myself to be courageous enough to use myself as a tool to help others. The journey to self-realization and acceptance is a lifelong quest. Most days, I'm proud to walk around with my head held high and say, I love myself. I was able to learn from therapy different ways to deactivate activation and look at it constructively. Draw comparisons and conclusions from this fear, this anxiety that was controlling my life. Oh, I got a little froggy there, sorry. And it's important, if we are to grow, that we look at the seeds that we planted. Are there weeds growing around it? But it is so important that if you know that you have this underlying pain, that it stops you from being the authentic you and sharing that with the world, that you speak to someone who little by little helps you let go of all the things you've been carrying. Go to the gym. It's time to stop putting it off and do the heavy lifting. It's so vital that the body is prepared for the authentic you to step through. Diet, hydration, exercise, it's all important for the self. Ladies, I know you'll do anything but lift a weight, but if you can carry the weight of a shitty relationship that's held you back, I guarantee you'll be squatting like a queen in no time. The you that doesn't limit yourself is strong. Whether that looks like a Pilates class, a yoga class, benching, or working on your cardio, our bodies need to move. We need to release these endorphins into our system. We need to sweat out the impurities that we energetically collect throughout the day. With an exercise plan that you love, you'll be able to see yourself transforming in real time. You're letting go of all the stagnant energy that has been asking you to release it. You owe it to yourself to leave behind the person who had all of the justifications, all of the excuses, and embrace the person who truly wants to better themselves on a spiritual, mental, and physical level. For all of those dimensions require fulfillment in order to achieve who you're meant to be, who you want to be, and who you know deep down you truly are. So get off the couch, stop at the potato chips, go do a squat. And finally, practicing self-love. You as in the I am. Have you ever said I love you to yourself and meant it? In the event that you've never said anything like that to yourself, I want you to know that I love you. I love that you have taken the opportunity to rediscover who you truly are. I love the fact that you have survived so much and you're learning about yourself now. I love you from the deepest depths of my heart for being here and learning to love yourself. If it's so easy for me to love you, it's time that you start to love you. Whether that's a bath filled with essential oils that are pleasant to your senses, or going to the beach and putting your feet in the water and walking along a shoreline. Maybe self-love is getting more into culinary and filling your house with the sweet aromas of nourishing foods that are good for your brain, your soul, and your body. Whatever that looks like to you, you should do more of that. It's part of the whole that leads us into the acceptance that we are these divine creatures of light and love, that no matter what you've been through in your life, that you can make a positive change upon the world just by loving yourself enough to say, I love you, and mean it. You don't express forms of love towards yourself because it's easier to be sad. It's easier to be angry. And I know this to be true because we are no different. It's much harder to say I love you and mean it because that means you have to know who you are. Even the darkest parts of your personality, you have to accept them and love them because they are valid too. We're talking about oneness. Oneness is love. And you need to love yourself. You loved yourself enough to be resourceful and survive, even though you might hate your life. Having a positive regard for oneself can eliminate these mental health issues that we've picked up along the way trying to figure out who we are. You know the things that are good for you, the same way you know the things that will cause you great pain. From this point forward, give yourself compassion. Give yourself that understanding. You owe that to you because you've neglected that part of you, the real you, for so long. It's time to prioritize your own needs rather than continue to sacrifice yourself for the needs of others. I know to do this work, it's hard, it's scary. But once you start showing yourself self-love, you begin to have a relationship with yourself. All the things that you thought were impossible start to shift and show up in your life. And it's because everything starts from within. In conclusion, I want you to know that your trauma doesn't define you. It was just a chapter in your life. And now, it doesn't serve the story any good to stay stuck on that page. I hope that these tools, these insights that I provided you all with, are of use to you on your journey. It may have happened to you, but it isn't of you. I didn't have time to cover everything in my outline over here, but I think that the information provided is a great start. I would love to hear your topic suggestions for episodes in the future. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment below. Thank you again for joining me. My name is Alexandra Van Zeeland. And remember, only love can change the world. And that starts with you.